it's time to start making your design. So let's read the requirements. You're going to use this program to draw the logo. Okay, now you'll need to put your name. Don't worry about it. It doesn't really matter what you put. Okay, but you're going to end up with a graph right here to draw on. Okay, now you're going to use the line drawing tool. Okay, make the line thickness 2 or 3 and use a color, because if you make it black, it's just a little bit hard to see. So go over here. You're going to see where it says draw. You're going to go click the line tool. Come down here. I would make it 2 or 3 just to make it a little easier to see. You can kind of experiment with it, right? Like that's 2. 3 is a little thicker, and then I would just do a color, just because like if I draw black lines on a black graph, it's just not as easy to see as if I draw, say, a blue line, right? You can see that's just like a little bit easier to see. Okay. And you're going to draw a design, and you need to make sure your lines start and end on the corner boxes. So you can see like right here how this ends just like in the middle. We don't want that. We want it to end on a coordinate point, because you're going to need to do some math with these lines, and you don't want a line like this that doesn't end on a point. Okay, now when you create your drawing, it has to have at least 2 horizontal lines. Okay, now remember, horizontal is this way, left and right. Okay, it has to have 2 vertical lines, that's this way, up and down, and a minimum of 10 diagonal lines. So that's like this, any sort of, oh, not like that, any sort of slanted line is diagonal line. Okay, and I would say don't use too much more than those 14 lines, because you're going to have to find the equations of all the lines. So if you use too much, you're going to have a lot of work to do. Okay, so I am going to, my design is not very creative. I'm going to spell out a word. Okay, so I'm starting this as an L. Now notice I've used a vertical line and a horizontal line. I need to make sure that in my design, as I'm thinking through my design, you might want to kind of sketch it out on paper first. Make sure there's some diagonal lines in there, right? There's a diagonal line. And here's another diagonal. Okay, now look, I want to put this here, right? But you know what? I'm not going to, because that doesn't end on the end. So I'm going to choose to put it here instead, right? So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make my design. Now, you can't tell this, but I am copying off something I've already done, right? You're probably going to need to take a little bit more trial and error, making mistakes, maybe sketching it out first, right? I'm actually just copying off work that I've already done here. So for me, it's going just pretty fast because I know exactly where I want my lines. Okay, but this time, this is something that might take you a little bit of time to create, and you can choose to write out a word the way I'm doing, or you can choose to draw something. Okay, it's up to you. Okay, but this is my design. Now I'm almost done. You can probably guess what this last piece is going to be. All right, so I am finished with my design. Okay, come back here. So I have all my requirements. I have 2 horizontal lines, 2 vertical lines, and 10 diagonal, right? So look, here's a vertical and another vertical, right? There's actually 3, 4, which is fine. There's horizontal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's plenty. Now diagonal, let's make sure I have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have just enough, right? So just be careful, make sure that you meet all of the requirements. Now what you're gonna do, you're gonna go up here, click on Export Board, and export as an image. Okay, and now you're gonna come here and drop your image. Now the Chromebook works a little bit differently than my computer, but that is the basic idea. You're going to drop it there. Okay, so that's your first step. Now don't exit this tab, because you need to do one more thing with it. Okay, but start with that.